the Executive Director of the Foundation and Advancement Offices here at Cuesta College, and I am so pleased to welcome you to the luncheon, the Awards Volunteer Luncheon today. We are so happy you could join us, and that you hopefully all enjoyed your lunch today from Chef's Table. Thank you so much to Chef's Table for having us. At this time, we'll go ahead and get started with the program. This event today happens annually as we recognize our honored alumni and volunteers and partners in the community. And this event is put on by our foundation, and we have many of our board members here today. I would like to take a brief moment to recognize our foundation board members. If you all would stand and be recognized. They're a fabulous group of about 40 community volunteers throughout the entire county who help us to fundraise, support, steward, and our ambassadors for the college and the community. So events like this are ways that we really love to interact with all of you and be a part of our community, and actually take a moment to think, reflect, and realize how much the community supports the college and how many of you volunteer your time, talent, and treasure to support us. There are community members here who represent the whole county, and at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker today, and that would be our Superintendent President, Dr. Nielsen.
Yeah, you better cheer for that. I made it up those stairs. I just had a knee replacement 4 weeks ago, so we're practicing some of the basic skills of survival. So thank you. Thank you very much, Shannon. I appreciate it. And welcome to Cuesta College for those of you who it's your first time visit, and for many of you, welcome back. We really appreciate seeing your faces. I checked our records for any outstanding fees or fines and may still owe, and most of you are okay. If not, we'll meet you at the door. Okay. That was you, Heidi. Yeah, thank you. Well, for those of you who are being recognized as honored alums today, it's really nice to have you back on campus and share this special time in history, recognize what you've accomplished since you have left Cuesta College, and the impact that you've had on all of us. We appreciate that. We're also here to recognize those other unsung heroes in many cases, where we have over 1,000 volunteers working on behalf of Cuesta College, either through supporting individual departments or serving on advisory committees or our foundation board. And we couldn't do it without the generosity of time that people are willing to give to Cuesta College. And so we're going to be recognizing those special volunteers that we've invited here today. Before we begin the awards, I'd also like to acknowledge some special guests today. And first of all, one of the founding fathers of Cuesta College, who started this college back in 1964, the first Vice President of Instruction and the second President of Cuesta College, Dr. Frank Martinez. Yeah. He's one of the smartest people I know, because he hired me in 1965. He usually rebuts that, saying, well, that's the only mistake he ever made. And representing another wonderful set of volunteers today is our trustees, the Board of Trustees. We have Dr. Barbara George, who's the president of the board. Barbara. And we have the vice president of the board, Pat Mullen. And the newest member of our board, but not the least impactful, is Mary Strobridge. I'd also like to acknowledge the passing of one of the founding and instrumental trustees that was really part of shaping and developing and getting Cuesta College started, and that was Dr. Bob Bryant, veterinarian in North County, who died Wednesday. He served on the board from 1969 to 1981 and was very instrumental in the beginning and the start of Cuesta College. And he even reluctantly agreed to hire Dr. Martinez as the second president. And Dr. Martinez showed him he was wrong. So, and also here, another Cuesta alum is District 5 Supervisor Debbie Arnold. Debbie, and representing Assemblyman Jordan Cunningham is Kailey Smith. And also a very special guest for us today is one of my Rotary buddies, and that's District Attorney Dan Dow. We also have, this must be Mayor Day at Cuesta College. I think it's kind of ironic. So, representing the city of San Luis Obispo, we have Mayor Heidi Harmon. The city of Atascadero, Tom O'Malley. And Paso Robles Mayor Steve Martin. Steve? Of course, 67% of those will be recognized a little bit later. Sorry about that, Steve. So, it is now my pleasure to introduce to you a longtime supporter and friend of Cuesta College, a member of our Foundation Board of Directors and Alumni Committee, Roxanne Carr. Roxanne is an alum of Cuesta College and has served on our Foundation Board for 14 years. She also represents Cuesta as the president of the Friends of the Cultural and Performing Arts Center. Roxanne has more than 44 years as a mortgage banking professional. Before turning her talents and energies to the mortgage house, Roxanne was the West Coast Regional Vice President for ARCS Mortgage Incorporated, one of the nation's leading mortgage bankers, where she supervised the operation of 27 branches. Roxanne was named Businesswoman of the Year by the Tribune in 1995, and the Eddie Nielsen Volunteer of the Year by Cuesta College in 2003. She also received the Loomis Distinguished Board Service Award for Cuesta College in 2012, and was honored as one of the top 50 women in business for the Tri-Counties in 2013. Most recently, Roxanne was awarded the Woman of Distinction 2017 Lifetime Achievement Award by the Women's Legacy Fund of San Luis Obispo County. So please join me in welcoming our great, great friend, Roxanne Carr.
Thank you, Dr. Stork. It's a true honor to be up here today to announce the recipients of our Honored Alumni Awards. It's just an amazing time to be able to recognize former outstanding students of Cuesta College. Before I begin, though, I'd like to recognize the previous Honored Alumni in the audience. We have 2013 alumnus George Galvin. George. And 2016 John Allen Connerly and Lenny Grant. Thank you for being here today, and thank you all for being here today. It's a wonderful event. I must recap for you. Now in its 30th year, the Honored Alumni Awards were established to recognize the outstanding professional achievements and service of former Cuesta College students. Since that time, more than 50 alumni have received this prestigious honor. The Foundation receives many nominations each year for former students who have made outstanding achievements, both personally and professionally. The committee goes through a rigorous and sometimes, believe me, a very difficult process to review all the nominations that come in and ultimately name only a few of the many that are so outstanding. So it is with great pleasure that I present to you our 2018 Honored Alumni. begin with Dr. Sarah Ashley. Would you join me, please? Thank you. The youngest Cuesta College Honored Alumni Award recipient ever, Dr. Ashley has accomplished incredible things since she graduated from Cuesta College in 2003 at the age of 14. In 2008, she earned a bachelor's degree from UC Santa Cruz and then a medical doctorate degree from UC Davis in 2014. Now working in the Department of Emergency Medicine at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Dr. Ashley is a Global Health and Leadership Fellow. In 2015, she enlisted in the United States Army Reserve and became a battalion surgeon with the U.S. Army Reserve, 450th Civil Affairs Battalion. Dr. Ashley is a third-generation Cuesta College graduate. This Templeton native has deep roots in San Luis Obispo County and credits Cuesta College for her ability to reach out. As Dr. Ashley continues her successful career in the years to come, we would like to wish her well and congratulate her on being named one of Cuesta College's 2018 Honored Alumni.
Thank you very much. I'm really very honored to be getting this award. I'm not sure I've actually earned it yet, but I'll take it as an IOU. I'm here with my family, like she said, 3 generations of Cuesta College students. I have here my role models and my biggest cheerleaders, my grandparents, Dawn and Jean Morris, back there. My mother and stepfather, Sharon and John Donovan, sorry. My father, Mark Ashley, my uncle Steve Mothmore, and then my sisters, who, if you haven't seen at Cuesta already, you will see at Cuesta at some point, Emily and Harry here. It's been a while since I've been to this campus. It brought back a lot of old memories coming back here. I started my first day here, I was 11 years old. My first day at Cuesta College, and I really grew up here because I was here until 2006 when I left when I was 17 years old. So I was actually here for a pretty long time. I got my driver's license here. And during that time, while I was growing up all of that time, I had the opportunity to be surrounded by people from all different backgrounds. So it was a really wonderful experience. Young people who were really exploring their options, or getting ready to go to university, working professionals and parents, who were getting new job skills or changing careers, and some people were just here for the love of learning. And what we had in common was really a sense of purpose in being here, and we had a common experience of growth during that time. Since then, I've done a lot of school. I've been to a lot of colleges, clearly UC Santa Cruz and UC Davis. I did my residency training at East Carolina University, and now I'm at UNC in Chapel Hill. And I'm now working on what's now my 4th degree. And I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to think that there might be such a thing as too much school. There's no such thing as too much learning, but there may be too much school. So I think this is going to be the last one. But looking back over those 18 years at all those different colleges, I am most proud of my time here at Cuesta College. This is really where it all started, and really where I got to discover my love of learning. Since then, in the last, 3 years ago, I joined the Army Reserve, like she said, and I serve as a physician for a battalion, so I take care of the soldiers and I help advise on health issues. One of the reasons that I was attracted to the Army was because I found that service members have a lot of the qualities that I really admired in the students that you see at Cuesta as well. And that's that they have a real sense of responsibility and duty. They're people who are very committed to self-growth and who serve their communities. And I think that just like the military, community colleges are an institution that this country should be very proud of because it's something that really makes the American dream possible. It's a place where people can really achieve their dreams and where those things become possible. And that's certainly what it's done for me. join me in really supporting Cuesta College and all of the students that are going to go through it in years to come. Thank you very much.
What I was doing at age 11. Didn't even come close to that. Our next recipient is San Luis Obispo City Mayor Heidi Harmon. Mayor Harmon, will you join me, please? Heidi arrived in San Luis Obispo 30 years ago as a college student and settled in to make a fulfilling life here. She graduated with a degree in early childhood education from Cuesta College, followed by a BA in liberal studies from Cal Poly. For many years, Mayor Harmon worked as an early childhood educator in San Luis Obispo. She became more and more involved in the community and eventually became the director of the climate advocacy group SLO 350 and a point person with Protect Slow Stop Oil Trains. In 2016, Heidi was elected mayor of the city of San Luis Obispo on the platform of being a reform-minded leader, passionate about keeping the voice and concern of local residents at the forefront of everything she does. Please join me in congratulating Mayor Harmon as one of Cuesta College's 2018 Honored Alumni.
Thank you very much. I was thinking a lot about the Cuesta Promise, and the Cuesta Promise, as we think of it now, is only a few years old, but the Cuesta Promise has really always been here. It's always been a promise to reach out to people and to offer a pathway to a better life. And I think community colleges are one of America's great inventions, a real gateway to the future for both first-time students and for anyone seeking a second chance at life. So it's not surprising then that Cuesta has been led so beautifully for the past 50 years by Dr. Stork, a man who understands so well how important and precious second chances can be. So how did I come to be here? I was thinking back and remembering the day when I came home from Pasadena City College, where I was living, to the surprise news that I was no longer welcome in my parents' home, and that they had a new opportunity for me at a place called Cuesta, at some weird town called San Luis Obispo. I didn't know exactly what I had done. I was maybe a bit lost and slightly unfocused, or maybe it was the fact that I had just recently been arrested for protesting. Don't worry. For protesting nuclear testing at the Nevada nuclear test site in Mississippi. But maybe they thought my life could use a little direction, and they wanted that direction to take place someplace that wasn't near Pasadena, it turned out. So they did some research, and Cuesta was the most highly regarded junior college in the state, and I'm sure that it still is to this day. So I got here, and if you watch the slides go by, you will have noticed that my fellow honorees did Cuesta in what might be considered the sort of normal amount of time, 2, 3, 4 years. I was lucky enough to be here for a full decade at Cuesta. And during that time, I tried many things. The first thing I wanted to do, I didn't know a lot about life or being an adult, but I knew that shoulder pads were really important. It was the late 80s, of course, and so I figured a business major is probably the best pathway to wearing suits with huge shoulder pads. So that was my first major, and I was doing great until I intersected with the horror that is an accounting class. And ended up changing my major. That was the first time I changed my major. And as was shared, I eventually ended up in early childhood education, where I was able to really delve into that world and was a preschool teacher in the community for years afterwards. I also took a lot of art classes and was lucky enough to have an art career here as well. And if there's a second award opportunity, I don't want to brag, but I might get the award for most art classes started and not finished. But I really appreciated those opportunities to learn. But it's certainly the poli-sci, the sociology, and the many psychology classes that I've taken and need to take more of that have really helped me in my role as mayor. And while I've always had a love for Cuesta and my own personal experience, my love for Cuesta and admiration deepened greatly as a homeschooling single mom when both of my kids were able to start Cuesta at 13 years old. I'm not quite as cool as Dr. Ashley, but, and they were really able to learn and try new things and attempt to answer that eternal question of what do I want to be when I grow up? My daughter Zoe graduated from UCLA Film Department at 19, and my son was able to graduate from UC Santa Cruz in the music department at 20, both without any college debt. And the debt that they do owe is to Cuesta for getting them started on a path that was both a great way to learn and to start without the financial burden that so many students bear in our communities. They are the fulfillment of the Cuesta promise, as I am the fulfillment of the Cuesta promise. The promise that says no matter what your means may be, if you are willing to do the work, you can create a life for yourself. That a somewhat lost, unfocused troublemaker with an arrest record can become mayor of San Luis Obispo one day. That is the Cuesta promise. So thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here this year, and my parents want to thank you for proving them right, that taking me up here to San Luis Obispo and getting my path started at Cuesta was exactly the right thing to do. Thank you so much.
It reminds me, I too have spent 10 years at Cuesta College. Thank you, Mayor. It's truly a Mayor Day, and we're going to have a privilege to honor another mayor this year. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Atascadero City Mayor Tom O'Malley. Tom attended Cuesta College from 1968 to 1970. He is a third-generation resident of Atascadero, and it seems only fitting that Tom, prolifically involved in the community and local government, would one day become the city's mayor. Serving in that role since 2012, our Cuesta graduate has spent decades in public service. He is a current member of the Atascadero City Schools Committee, Atascadero Tourism Business Improvement District Board, Atascadero Chamber of Commerce, and many more. In addition, Mayor O'Malley owns and operates the Portola Inn in Atascadero and is a retired licensed marriage and family therapist. He studied business at Pepperdine University and then graduated with a bachelor's degree in economics from UCSB and earned a master's degree in education, specializing in counseling and guidance from Cal Poly. While at Cuesta, Tom O'Malley was a student body president and Alpha Gamma Sigma Honor Society president. Please join us in celebrating Mayor O'Malley's achievement as one of our 2018 Honored Alumni.
Well, I want to acknowledge Anita Robinson. Thank you for this honor of this nomination. Well, I'm here with my best friend, and no, it's not Mayor Martin from Paso Robles, lifetime friend, my second best friend. It's my best friend, Peggy O'Malley, also a Cuesta alumni, and our granddaughter, Joy. Now, Joy and I have a tough act to follow, because Joy, you got 2 more years before you have to start college. I hope I can inspire Joy like my grandmother inspired me about going to college. My grandmother had a few years at college and got married, and her husband, back after the Depression, fell off of a barn as a carpenter, broke his back, could not work for a number of years. So my grandmother went back to school. One of the first women to graduate from Cal Poly with 6 kids in tow. She took the kids with her to class. They were sitting around, and she got some experience giving them activities to do while she completed college and went on to be one of the first school teachers out in Park Hill Road School, little one-room house, $113 a month back in those days. But it was an inspiration to me that you can work hard and get through school. Now, I didn't have much interest in college. I had so many ranges of things I was interested in. I didn't know how you could ever pick a major. I'd be like our mayor in San Luis, just love to try everything. Well, fortunately, I had a high school counselor named Irene Lane who took me aside one day and said, Tom, you could go to college. Well, there's too many things to think. I'd never be able to pick. Well, you can try everything. And so I think she was really going to make sure I succeeded, because after she was a high school counselor, she became a counselor at Cuesta College and really kept an eye on me to get through. Now, when I was at Cuesta College, I was a student body president, and my advisor was John Schaub. If you remember, I think I see him on the agenda now and then with another honored award. Now, I really, now looking back, I really appreciate him, because I was kind of into some protesting too, but he set me straight, so I didn't have to end up in jail like Heidi. I got straightened out by John Schaub, as student body president at Cuesta. Well, I had a lot of interests. One of the things I enjoyed was music, so I was in choir with Earl Blakesley. Now later, Sam Blakesley and I would sit around and talk about that experience, and then talk about a lifetime of friendships. Ended up running into Cassandra Tarantino, which I was hoping she could be here today, but she's your choir director up in North County, Cuesta. They do some great events for veterans all over the world, and you're welcome up at Portolian on October 20th, because every year we do a fundraiser for the North County Cuesta Chorus to help support those students get that experience and also provide such a great experience for our veterans. Well, besides chorus, at Cuesta, I took geology classes and economic classes, among a lot of them. But what do you do when you really like geology and you really like economics and you try to pick a major? Well, I ended up majoring in economics at UCSB, but with an emphasis in natural resource and environmental economics. And so you can combine, sometimes those range of experiences can come together. Well, from there, after that, what the heck did I better look at my notes here. Yeah, I ended up majoring in counseling at Cal Poly, got my marriage and family therapist license, spent a little time on the Navajo Indian Reservation where I was an elementary school teacher, and ended up working at County Mental Health where I retired as the administrator after about 25 years. Well, later I figured, a degree in counseling, a degree in economics, that's perfect for city council. And Heidi, you need the counseling a lot more than economics in city council, as I'm sure you've figured that out already. Well, somewhere back before I got to that graduation, right after I got out of Cuesta, I had a little talk with my dad. Much like Mrs. Lane had a talk with me, I said, Dad, you could go to Cuesta College. And this was not met with any enthusiasm. He had actually a pretty tough life. He was the youngest of 12 in his family. He never went to high school. He didn't complete elementary school. His dad died when he was about 2 years old, and he went to work, literally living on his own, right during middle elementary school. So he just couldn't imagine ever going to college. And yet I talked about the experience. I think Irene Lane was still a counselor, by the way. And he was so amazed at how people just took him in, gave him counseling, helped him through classes. And I remember I was kind of like a proud parent, except I'm the kid. He brought home his first A in class. And he went on to get his AA in fire science. And here's a guy that started out as one of the first firefighters in the Atascadero Fire Department, ended up being fire chief with a lifelong of learning he got started on here from Cal Poly. So, and Cuesta, With that, I would like to say thank you for 3 generations, maybe 4 generations. Thank you, Cuesta College.
Thank you, Tom. Don't you love hearing all these stories? So fantastic. Well, last but certainly not least, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our final recipient, Maria Spaeth. Maria is a first-generation Mexican-American Latina born in Sacramento. When she was just 3 years old, her family relocated to Mexico, but they returned at her age 15, and the family became farm workers in Paso Robles. Unable to speak English, Maria nonetheless enrolled at Paso Robles High School, and then in 1994 at Cuesta College, speaking very good English, I'm sure. After graduating with an Associate of Arts degree in Liberal Arts and then double majoring at Sonoma State University in Spanish and Latin American history, Spaeth launched her teaching career in Los Angeles with a passion to serve the underserved. In 2007, she was named Teacher of the Year by the Los Angeles Unified School District. A second grade teacher at Grover Beach Elementary School, and we're very pleased to have her. She works with many low-income Spanish-speaking students and encourages them to follow their dreams, just as she did. Please join me in congratulating Maria on this distinguished award.
Thank you everyone for taking the time out of your schedule to come and be here with us. Gracias. A lot has changed since 1994, and some things have remained the same. When I remember, like it was yesterday, the very first time that I came in 1994, very intimidated, not really knowing the language, and coming from Mexico, from an extremely small town with no running water, no electricity, and being in a city where everything is wow, and feeling just like a little ant in a big city. But things have not changed, such as who I am, the core person of who I am, and always knowing that I wanted to be a teacher. So when I came, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I didn't know how that was going to happen. But here at Cuesta is where I found a voice. I found the strength to speak up. I met the right people that helped me with opening doors. What is financial aid? Oh, someone can pay for me to go to school? Whoa. Scholarships. Directing me and taking the right classes. After graduating and moving to Sonoma and then to LA to start teaching, I knew that for many of our families, so for English learners, sometimes for us not knowing the resources, not knowing that sí se puede, that there is possibilities, and that we're people with big dreams, and we come, and when someone opens that door that we didn't know existed, but they open it, and it's a way of making it happen. And for me, working with students whose families are the same as mine, is giving those voices, those people, those students, a voice, opening the door for them as someone once did for me. I love working with parents and families, and I have students coming back to me and saying, Ms. Spaeth, my family, my mom doesn't let me go to school, or I want to go to school and I don't know how to make it there. And building a bridge for them, sending them to the right people, helping them with the applications so that they can make it. Just the other day, one of my students came to school to find me to say, I got accepted into Cal Poly. So for her, again, and she came to Cuesta first. For me, it's like, yes, sí se puede. All of us can do it. And it's not always easy, and it's not always simple. But to do what I do it. I was born into this world to be a teacher and be with those kids and give them my all and tell them every single day when I see them in the morning, oh, there you are, come on in. We're gonna have a beautiful day. And I'm one of those that loves them very firmly. And they need that. I'm glad that I do. Now, if it's okay, I would like to say a few words in Spanish to my parents. Papá y mamá, muchas gracias por todo el apoyo que ustedes me han dado, por siempre mandarme en el camino correcto y hacer empujarme y seguir estudiando para poder lograr mis sueños. Gracias por todos sus sacrificios, que han sido muchos, para que ahora todos sus hijos tengan la vida que ahora tienen. Gracias, se los agradezco de corazón y siempre les estaré agradecida. Thank you, every single one of you, for supporting, and I hope, like Heidi said, this is something for the incoming students. Just being here at 9 and 14, or coming back and not knowing, what is the second chance, not knowing where your life is heading, just knowing and understanding in the core of your soul that you want something different, not knowing how, but you will get there. So thank you for all the people. Cuesta is an amazing place to be. It is a family that, as much as the campus itself is grown, the people in the heart has not changed. Thank you for that.
Maria just mentioned that she got Teacher of the Year also from Lucia Marr.
I was watching her mom that whole time. She was crying like at the beginning. I'm going to welcome back up Dr. Stork to continue with the ceremony. Thank you.
Wow, those were amazing stories. Now you know why I invested 51 years of my life to be able to work with people like you've heard today. I always said that especially the California community colleges are probably the most significant arm of higher education in the world. We have this open access philosophy where you open the door and whoever walks in, we have a responsibility to help them find a way. And success is defined by them, not us. Because success for one person couldn't necessarily be success for somebody else. So we have to listen really carefully to our students. What is it they feel they want to accomplish? And then we create a pathway for that. That's extremely challenging. Those of you who teach in a classroom, when you have an open door, open access, you get students coming in with very different skill sets, different preparations. So being able to successfully meet the educational needs of those students is challenging from a faculty perspective. But I can tell you, there's no greater joy and no greater feeling of accomplishment than what you get from working at a California community college. And these 4 examples are exactly what I was just sitting here thinking, man, it was worth it. It was really worth it, but not enough to not retire. So thank you for sharing those really heartfelt stories. We really appreciate that. And I think we maybe overlooked one of our honored alums who is here today. Robert? This is Robert Holly.
Ever since I started going to your barber and Frank's barber, my life has just been completely different.
Now, Robert, I have to rebut that. I don't have a barber. I go to a stylist. I gave up barbers a long time ago. Well, you know, thank you so much for taking the time to prepare your comments, because they were so spot on in terms of what, you know, I know the story is behind the accomplishments that people make. And there's so many other stories like yours out there. And unfortunately, we can't recognize everybody. But you are representatives of so many more people like you. And Heidi mentioned about the Promise. You know, the current Promise Scholarship that was made available by a wonderful gift from the DeVica family in Morro Bay that gave us an $8 million gift that that our foundation quasi-endowed, and which generates revenue every year to support allowing San Luis Obispo County high school graduates, whether they're homeschool, public school, private school, GED completers, if they choose to come to us immediately, we pay for their first year of education. And I was really hoping that what I would see would be the light go on for those young people who never believed that college was an option. You know, whose family, maybe they were potentially a first generation college student. Their families may want them to go to college, but they don't have any idea how to do it. Well, the Promise did exactly that. You know, we had more young females coming to Cuesta College in that first set. 60% of the students coming were young women. And the large majority of those students were Latina. And so it was really resonating with me that we were reaching out and opening the door for some section or segment of our population that is underrepresented within our educational society. And that has continued to grow. And we're now looking at, as the growth of the Promise program, we're serving now probably well over 1,000 new first-time freshmen from local high schools coming this fall. And it's no longer necessarily economically depressed families. It's all of us now. And education isn't getting any cheaper. And so it's now becoming a first choice rather than an alternate choice because of how it can help a family defray and spread those funds further in terms of funding education. You know, and we're working now on a campaign to fund the second year, and we're getting really close. So before I leave this institution, I want to have in place a 2-year Promise program so that students can count on the fact that they're going to get to, not 10 years, Heidi. Come on, let's be realistic. When I was Vice President of Student Service, I had a cartoon on my bulletin board. And this cartoon, there was this dean of students sitting at the table, and there was a student sitting across, and the dean was looking at the student saying, "No, you got it wrong. It's the faculty who get tenure here." But whatever success is, if it takes 10 years, that's fine. If it takes 2 years, that's fine. So whatever works. So, and now we're moving on to our volunteer awards. And our first award today is the Dr. Frank Martinez Superintendent President's Award, represented by Dr. Martinez today. First awarded in 2001, this award recognizes the accomplishments of a community volunteer who has contributed time and talent generously, working in partnership with Cuesta faculty or staff, and resulting in the achievement that might not have happened otherwise. And if there are any former or previous Frank Martinez award winners here, would you please stand? I'm not sure if there are. Yes, we have Joan Sargent and this year's recipient of the Dr. Frank Martinez Superintendent Award is Howard Carroll. Now, I first really ran into Howard when I was doing my student teaching a long time ago, when we still used chalk, at San Luis Obispo High School. And despite that experience with Howard, I stayed in education. Yeah. And I had 2 more years of high school with him, which was a great pleasure. We've been longtime friends since then. So Howard, will you please join me on stage? Longtime friend of the late Harold J. Miosi, Howard Carroll today serves as the Miosi Trust Executive. In that role, Howard has been instrumental in supporting various projects and areas at Cuesta College. A lifelong resident of San Luis Obispo County, Miosi was passionate about many things, including art and education. Today, the college benefits from Miosi's financial support and Howard's strategic advanced estate planning prowess in many ways. In 2014, the foundation received a $250,000 grant to enhance the role of the college's art gallery for both students and the community. Today, the Harold J. Miosi Art Gallery is making a name for itself locally and beyond, hosting exhibits from artists throughout the globe. The Trust is also the lead sponsor of the annual College Night, bringing representatives from 55 universities and colleges across the country onto the San Luis Obispo campus to speak with hundreds of local high school students and their parents about how to make informed decisions about college. And last year, the Trust stepped forward and pledged $1 million towards a fundraising effort to extend the Cuesta College Promise Scholarship to include the second year of free fee education. The donation is the largest single gift to the campaign so far, but you all have a chance to beat that. Howard, thank you for all the work that you've done for Cuesta College and for our community and your personal friendship with me. Cuesta is extremely grateful for everything you have done and all that you continue to do on behalf of the late Harold J. Miosi. Please join me in congratulating Howard for this
Well, thank you very much for this very prestigious award. It's really special to me because of my very long relationship with Gil and with Frank. Frank and I and Gil were in Rotary Club together, and Frank and I sat at the table in the back for several years and mouthed all the words to the songs. I don't think we sang it. But it's especially great for me because I was with Gil at the start when he was 6 years older than I was, I think, or just a young student teacher. He didn't know where he wanted to go, and neither did anybody in his class, but he was spectacular. And so the next year when he came back, when he was part of the faculty, I took every course I could from him, and out of that I took trigonometry, algebra.
You took him twice.
But the best class he gave was slide rule. There's probably a few of you that are old enough to know what a slide rule is, but many don't. But Gil would bring in the slide rule. It was about from Heidi just there and you pull a slide along. And so we learned how to use the slide rule, and he had the same joke every day. He would bring it, and so there's the slide rule is called pick it. That was the yellow slide rule. And he'd say, don't forget, don't pick it or it'll never heal. I can't tell you how many times we heard that joke. But it was a real experience. Gil's been a mentor for me. He basically, in those 2 years that I took his classes, shaped my future. But our paths did cross again. Yeah, I came back after, I didn't go to Cuesta College, sorry. I did take classes here, which I'll tell you about later, but I went away to school up to the University of Santa Clara and then came back in 1970, 71, and became involved in the Babe Ruth League. And so Gil says, you know, and he was the president, always stepping forward to do something. So he said, well, get back in San Luis, you ought to get involved. You know, I'm the president of Babe Ruth, so we need an equipment manager. Do you think you could help us out? And I said, well, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. So I was in charge of giving out bats and balls and catchers and masks and so forth to all the coaches. They would come to me, make an appointment, you know, and they'd get their allocation. Well, we didn't have a lot of money, and so everybody got a certain amount. So there's this one fellow named Pat, and he was a bit abrasive, and it was his way or the highway, and so he came in one day and said, I need a dozen bats. I said, well, you can have 6. I need a dozen. I said, well, if I give you a dozen, then somebody won't get any bats. So you get 6. And so then, of course, we were nose to nose arguing about he's only going to get 6 bats and he wants 12. So he left with 6 bats. He's upset, I'm upset. A couple days later, Gil calls, say, hey, how's it going? I said, well, Pat came by and we almost got in a big fight over bats. He said, Howie, that wouldn't have been a very good idea because he works out at the men's colony. He teaches boxing. Thanks. Thanks for giving me that little heads up. So I did attend some classes at Cuesta College. I took a geology class with my wife, Heidi. I took real estate classes, appraisal classes. I took a history class, but I think I was probably better known for taking advanced volleyball 6 times. So that's my claim to fame here. So now Gil is retiring, and I'm here representing the Miosi Trust, and it's interesting how that relationship started for me. When I came back to San Luis, I worked as a loan manager for Great Western Savings, and left there in 1982 and started my own business doing feasibility studies and finance work, packaging loans for commercial and industrial loans. And I went to, my office was in a building my family owned, and one of the tenants in the building was Harold Nielsen. So Harold was quite a bit older than I was, but we were friends, and we'd go to the post office every day and have lunch 2 or 3 times a week. And when we got bored, we would sit down and talk to each other and kibitz about what was going on and how their life was and political views. Now, Mr. Miosi was a Democrat. He was a fighter for the environment. There wasn't a tree or a plant or a stream or a frog that he didn't love, and he fought for it. During the 60s, 50s, and 60s, he was probably one of the leading environmental men in the county, man or woman. And I was coming out of finance, business, development, Republican. We were just totally opposites in what our views were. But we would have these great discussions about, well, why he believed this and why I believed that. And so we would go around and we wouldn't argue. I made him understand my points. He made me understand his points. And we worked this tremendous communication where he became a better person and I became a better person because I understood more of what he was, his goals were, and he understood what mine were. So that spirit of compromise worked well. We were working together for 15 years, and I raised his rent. He didn't like that either. But so when he passed away, or before he passed away, he established the Nielsen Trust and made me the trustee of it, giving me direction of what he would like to see accomplished. And I've taken that task and I take it very seriously. Everything that the trust does, I do it through his eyes. There are many, many great charitable areas you can donate money to. But the trust looks at each one of them through Harold's eyes. And I probably have a better perspective than anybody on earth of how he thought and why he thought that way. And so I make every decision that the trust embarks on through his perspective. So we've given about $6.5 million to date. 97% of it is in San Luis Obispo and the surrounding area. And we have some work, we have some big projects that are coming out. And we're very proud of what we do. So, Frank, Gil, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be up here and to share the stage with you.
Now, we've met many of our friends who have been here for quite a while, alumni, and someone with a relationship with Dr. Stork that predates his time at Cuesta, which is fabulous. But it is now my pleasure to present the John Schaub Student Volunteer Award. This award was first awarded in 2001. It recognizes a student whose community volunteer work best exemplifies the high standards established by the college's first dean of students, whom Mayor O'Malley referenced earlier, whose trailblazing work in creating programs for student success has helped thousands of students achieve their goals. This year's recipient of the John Schaub Volunteer Award is Kailey Schwabenland. Katie, would you come up? Okay, Katie? Okay. Yeah. All right, so a little bit about Kailey. She volunteered many hours in her time in order to launch the Spanish Club at Cuesta College. Thanks to her efforts, students and community members now have a forum to celebrate and appreciate the Spanish language, which we gratefully covered a little bit today, and the Spanish-speaking cultures and language learning and the traditions of the Spanish-speaking world. The club provides both Spanish language learners and native Spanish speakers a sense of community on campus and is an inclusive place for students and community members from a wide variety of backgrounds. Kailey is also an embedded tutor at Cuesta, as if she wasn't busy enough, helping other students study further courses in Anthropology 201. Kailey was nominated for this award by two Cuesta College faculty who are with us here today, Lisa Mifsud and Brad Langer. Let's go for it. We need outstanding faculty nominating outstanding students just as much as we need the community nominating alumni, so it's definitely applause to them for participating. In part of the application, they said, all of Kailey's work goes beyond the scope of normal volunteer work, and because it aims to create an inclusive space for students and community members from a wide variety of backgrounds. Thank you, Kailey, for your efforts, and on behalf of Cuesta College, we are excited to see where your path takes you. It might end up, you might come back to us as an honored alum in the future. Please join me in congratulating Kailey Schwabenland.
So I'm not as eloquent of a speaker as everyone else has been, so I'm going to keep this a bit concise. I'd like to thank my parents for always supporting me, and I'd also like to thank Professor Langer and Professor Nielsen for all of their guidance and mentorship throughout my journey. I've really appreciated it. And I'd also like to thank my fellow classmates, Meg Nielsen, Janice, Kelsey Bonzi, and Alyssa Cortez for all of their dedication and help with Spanish Club. Thank you.
I neglected to mention that this award comes with a check from the foundation, so.
only give money to students. Thanks, Shannon. Thank you, Kailey, for all your selfless work on behalf of the college and your fellow students, and for enduring the likes of Lisa and Brett. It's now my pleasure to introduce the final award of the program, and that's the Betty Nielsen Volunteer of the Year Award. This was awarded in 1995, and it was in memory of Cuesta College trustee Betty Nielsen, considered the epitome of volunteerism. And I think we have some previous Betty Nielsen award winners in the audience. Will you please stand? We have Roxanne. Betty served the community and college selflessly for many years as an exemplary volunteer in several capacities, both locally and statewide. This year's recipient of the Betty Nielsen Volunteer Award are Stan and Janice House. Will you please join us? Take so long. Well, Stan and Janice have been friends for a long time, both former employees at Cuesta College, and they've been volunteering on the Cuesta College Athletic Booster Club for many years, which has been instrumental in the success and vitality of the college's athletic program. The houses have played especially a key role in the various fundraisers, including the launch of the Don't Cook Tonight program. This is a wonderful opportunity, which is a fundraiser. It's raised nearly $20,000 over the years for the athletic department by way of selling locally prepared barbecue chicken and ribs. And they hide out in a parking, looks like a drug case in a sale or something in a parking lot, you know. You come by and they give you a brown paper bag and supposedly got food in it. And
Hey, you're buying it.
I know. I'm undercover. Yeah. Right. Janice assists with the ticket sales and orchestrating the monthly event and volunteering staff. And Stan also served as the vice president of the Athletic Booster Club board. As I said before, they're both former employees. Stan worked in maintenance and operations, and Janice retired from the college as the director of information technology. Thank you, Stan and Janice, for again continue to be part of the Cuesta family and for your selfless support and the spirit of volunteerism on behalf of the college.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for this great honor. You know, I first met Gil, I think it was the first year you worked here, 67?
Was that 1967?
1967, yes. And I took a class from him then. And I took a golf class from him. And for years, you know, he never golfed in the class. 40 years later, we were at some function. I said, you know, why didn't you ever golf? He says, I never golfed in my life. They assigned me that class and made me. So then I came to work out here, and I worked here for about 15 years. Well, first I graduated from college here too. I graduated from Cuesta College. Then I came to work here, and I worked for about 15 years, and I met Janice here. I met my wife here. So Cuesta means a lot to me. In my whole life, I'd never seen better teachers. The teachers were like friends. They would help you out so much. And I didn't, until I got to Poly, I didn't realize how great these teachers were, but they were really good. So I think we need to thank Mark Tognazini too in the Dockside Restaurant for doing the barbecue fundraising, helping us out. They don't charge us anything to do this. And I'd like to thank Gil for all the work he's done here for 51 years. And I'd like to thank Bob Mariucci for his positive attitude. All right, thank you very much.
husband to thank for this award because he volunteered me to do this.
Well, we are near the end of the program, and we get to this time of year, we start recognizing success and accomplishments and volunteerism and achievement, and we end it all with commencement coming up in May, and that's the tingling time of the year. You start to forget about all the drudgery that happens, in any workplace, at certain times of the year. But the celebration of success is really the hallmark of getting the juices flowing for the next round, the next flow of students, the next decade of service to humanity. And I want to thank you all for joining us today to be part of this. Your attendance here means a lot to the recipients. You're all their friends. You've worked with them. You're part of your family, whether the immediate family or extended family, and I know they appreciate your attendance. And it's truly wonderful to be a part of the Cuesta family and see you all here continuously supporting the college. And for those of you who are students in the audience today, you'll be part of the legacy of Cuesta College, and you'll look back at your experience and say that it made a difference by attending Cuesta College. Find a pathway, and being successful in what you do is what it's all about. As I mentioned before, there's no greater challenge than teaching at a community college because we accept everybody, no matter what age, stage of life they're in, condition they're in, economic status they have. We are charged with helping them find a way to be successful. I call it the Come As You Are College. But there's no greater opportunity anywhere to feel that success of helping change a life. And that's what makes it so special. That's what makes today so special. That's what makes my career so fulfilling. What also makes it so special are the people like you who have come forth to be part of the Cuesta family as a volunteer, as a donor, as somebody who spreads the good word about Cuesta College in the community, who votes for a bond issue, or elects the very best trustees to be able to help lead and set policy for the district. You make it absolutely worthwhile. And so I want to say thank you to all of you for investing your time, investing your energy, and your commitment to Cuesta College. I want to congratulate all of the award recipients today. The line of mayors, the young doctor who's still young, and our volunteers. Your time, your talent, your treasures have helped so many of our staff and students, and we are forever grateful for your contributions to the college. So have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll see you at the next event. Thank you very much.